Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Hare Krishna will read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, text, chapter 10, text number
14.
14, 15, 16, 17, 16. This chapter is entitled as the Bhagavatam, is the answer to all questions. Adi Daivam Athadhyatmam Adi Bhutam Iti Prabhu Athaikam Paurusham Viryam Vidhabhityata Shruno Adidaivam Athadhyatma Adhibhutam iti Prabhu Athaikam Paurusham Viryam Vidhabhityata Tashruno Adidaivam Athadhyatma Adhibhutam iti Prabhu Athaikam Paurusham Viryam Vidhabhityata Tashruno Adidaivam Athadhyatma Adhibhutam iti Prabhu Athaikam Paurusham Viryam Vidhabhityata Shruno.
Adidaivam Athatmam Bhutam iti Prabhu Athaikam Purusham Viryam Tridhabhyate Tatshruno.
Adhaitam Paurusham Viryam
Adi Daivam, the controlling entities. Atha, now. Adhyatmam, the controlled entities. Adi Bhutam, the material bodies. Iti, thus. Prabhu, the Lord. Atha, in this way. Ekam, one only. Paurusham, of his lordship. Viryam, potency. Tridha, in three. Abhidyata, divided. Tat, that. Shrunu, just hear from me. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Just hear from me how the potency of His Lordship divided one into three, called the controlling entities, the controlled entities, and the material bodies, in the manner mentioned above. Anta sharira akashat paurushasya vicheshtitaha ojahassaho balam jajne tataha prano mahan aso. From the sky situated within the transcendental body of the manifesting Mahavishnu, sense, energy, mental force and bodily strength are all generated, as well as the sum total of the fountainhead of the total living force. Anuprananti yam pranaha pranantam sarvajanteshu apananinam apananti naradevam ivanugaha. As the followers of the king follow their lord, similarly, when the total energy is in motion, all other living entities move. And when the total energy stops endeavoring, all other living entities stop sensual activities. Purport. The individual living entities are completely dependent on the total energy of the Supreme Purusha. No one has independent existence, just as no electric lamp has independent effulgence. Each and every electrical instrument depends fully on the total powerhouse. The total powerhouse depends on the reservoir of water for generating electricity. Water depends on the clouds, and the clouds depend on the sun. The sun depends on creation, and the creation depends on the movement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all causes. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyamadi Paschatya Deshatarane Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. As the followers of the king follow their lord, similarly, when the total energy is in motion, all other living entities move. And when the total energy stops endeavoring, all other living entities stop sensual activities. Hare Krishna. So this part of the Bhagavatam may sound very complex, but at the same time it is very profound. Because in this part of the Bhagavatam, second canto, Lord Brahmaji speaks the 4 Chatushloki verses to Narad Muni. And in fact, Prabhupada's purport is basically the explanation of those verses, wherein Lord Narayan told Lord Brahma that before the creation, while we see the creation, and after the annihilation of the creation, what remains, what always exists, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then he also explains in the manifested world, or what we see, it's all because of Krishna only. There is nothing but Krishna in this material world. Therefore, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Ramananda Roy told him, you are that Krishna, you are non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how did Mahaprabhu basically counterattack? He said, that is the nature of a devotee. He said, that stavar jangam na deki taramurti. He says that a devotee of Krishna, he sees stavar jangam na deki. He does not see moving things. He does not see non-moving things. He only sees his Ishtadeva Spurti. He is able to see Krishna everywhere. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj, even though he is about to leave his body within 7 days, he does not see the difference between Krishna's Vrindavan Lila and Krishna's Srishti Lila in regards to Krishna's involvement. Therefore, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Prabhupada explains that for a devotee, whether it is tree in Vrindavan, peacock in Vrindavan, or gopis in Vrindavan, he does not artificially makes any difference between them, because he gets to see that everybody is serving Krishna. Somebody wants to experience the complexities of how material world is created. It is there in the second canto, in the third canto. All the detailed explanations are given. But someone is not interested. He directly wants to understand, because he is simple or she is simple. Then what happens? Krishna's simple pastimes. Prabhupada explains Krishna consciousness is simple, at the same time very sublime. Simplicity is not synonymous to stupidity. Sometimes people feel, oh, he is so simple. That means they want to say he is very stupid. Being simple doesn't mean that one is stupid. One is sublime. He directly goes and takes shelter of Krishna. Again in the 10th chapter, when Krishna is describing to Arjuna about his different energies, or in the 7th chapter also, that when Krishna says, I'm taste in the water, Prabhupada explains that those who are inclined towards philosophical speculation, they have the conclusion very clear. Krishna is in the taste of water, but how does he, appear like that? So that inquisitiveness there. So therefore the foundational understanding is there. So they do mental speculation, but they come back to the same conclusion. And someone is very simple. He says, Krishna is in the taste of his water, so therefore I accept it. So both, according to their swabhava, according to their nature, ultimately come to the same conclusion. But somebody who is agnostic in nature, doubtful in nature, when he hears this word, Krishna is everywhere, Krishna is also in the water, then he questions, how is it possible he can be taste in the water? So he begins with a doubt. Therefore he concludes with, Krishna is not taste in the water. So therefore, the foundational principle has to be very clear. And then we have that foundational principle very clear. We see Krishna in complexity, we see Krishna in simplicity. because Krishna can manifest. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was speaking to Rupa and Sanatan Goswami also, we see Mahaprabhu spoke to them about the sweet aspect of Krishna. Krishna's Vrindavan pastime. Krishna stealing butter. So simple, Krishna is stealing butter, which is a charming story. For this also people say, how can you do this? Because their brains are, are complex but not profound. Their complexity simply enhances their confusion more and more. Somebody listens to Krishna's pastime, there are devotees, and there used to be devotees, and there will be devotees, just focusing on one pastime of the Lord, that Krishna's mother is tying Krishna with the rope. They want to be frozen to that pastime forever. Therefore, Satyavrata Muni explains in Damodar Ashtakam that let this lila be manifest ever in my heart. It doesn't say, let me go to the next pastime now. No, that is also okay. Not because they are bored, because Krishna's pastime is exciting. All the pastimes are exciting. Whether you get stuck to one pastime or you get to go to another pastime, there is no difference, because the absorption is the most important principle. Therefore here, Parikshit Maharaj is going as a organized sadhaka. Therefore he is going step by step. So when he comes to the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, he wants to do away with his materialistic concept. Of course he doesn't have any materialistic concept. But still, he thinks he is not an advanced devotee. And that's what an advanced devotee always thinks. As we were discussing, when Parikshit Maharaj was cursed, before even the curse was known to him, he was anticipating. He said, how could I do this? What kind of behavior I have performed, that I have put this dry snake. In fact, from Parikshit Maharaj's point of view, again, it was natural on a human platform when you are thirsty and nobody responds to you, you become a little disturbed. It is but natural. But the response to that disturbance is no justification. So Parikshit Maharaj was not justifying. He said, how could I do this? And for this small mistake, Parikshit Maharaj was saying, let whatever is supposed to happen, because I have committed this act of, breaching the etiquette. He said, let my wealth get destroyed. Whatever punishment is supposed to come to me, let it come immediately without affecting my family members. And on the other hand, Shamik Rishi, what was he thinking? He was thinking, he told his son, Shringi said, what you have done? It is very bad on your part, because this is not a big deal. Now Shamik Rishi did not take it very seriously. Parikshit Maharaj took it very seriously, putting that snake, but Shamik Rishi did not take seriously. Therefore we see in the Vedic concept history, simply the factual realities have no reality. The reality is based upon the profound perception. So what is the reality? Whether Parikshit Maharaj putting snake was wrong, or what Shamik Rishi is saying that putting snake was not wrong. There is an argument. They are not directly interacting with each other, but Parikshit is thinking that he is wrong, and Shamik Rishi is thinking he is not wrong. That is called as Vaishnava culture. So who is right, who is wrong, it is not important. But the effect of their heart. Both are making tremendous progress in Krishna consciousness. And he said, you should have not done like this. And you already cursed. And therefore Prabhupada explains the arrogance of this young Brahmana. Thinking that I have this power and I am going to curse Parikshit Maharaj for a small infringement. A small mistake on the part of Parikshit Maharaj. But of course Krishna utilized that for bringing Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, when we read Bhagavatam, which is very profound, recently one professor from IIT, he was telling, he studies from the traditional wisdom point of view also. He said, the fire, he said the fire, we see fire, and the materialistic, the modern science can analyze fire with some understanding. So he was saying one time in their college, there was some exhibition, forging metal, steel. And they wanted to see how traditionally the villagers would make this forging of the steel. So they invited one lohar or blacksmith. He came to IIT, and this was a metallurgical department. So there was an exhibition, and they said, "What do you need?" So he said, "I need this item," and he said, "One important item is I need bellows of the blacksmith." So they got the bellows of the blacksmith also. No, they didn't get. They forgot to bring it, and they wanted to take a trial. So during the trial, because they found that the bellows of the blacksmith is not there, one of the, very intelligent engineer said, "Hare, why you are so ritualistic about that bellows of blacksmith only? We can find another replacement. We can use best of the fan, electrical fan." Then I said, "It will not happen like that." He said, "What is the purpose of the bellows of the blacksmith? To give the air, right?" He said, "That will provide you." So he was speaking, he was illiterate, he didn't know English language, he did not even speak his language properly, because he was a ghati according to India. Gawar hai, gaon ka hai, means a village man. So they said, no, you don't worry, we will do it. And they brought this fan and they did everything, whatever it was required to make exactly how the bellows of the blacksmith makes. And lo and behold, what happened? The steel was not forged. It was a failed exercise. So they said, we are not able to understand this. At least they were humble. So next time, in the evening, they got from somewhere, it was in Bombay, they got the bellows of the blacksmith, and then he started doing, in a typical style. And what happened? Sure enough, whatever he had desired, the steel was forged. So this person, one of the engineer asked, and this man who was telling me, he said, I was there watching this entire exercise. And he said, what is the difference between this fire and that fire? And he said, that was a dead fire, this was a living fire. He said, what? He said, yeah, there was prana in this fire. And this village man spoke about 50 varieties of fire. So this engineer was saying, who is more educated? I have a complex way of explaining people about my stupidity, and sound as if very intelligent. And this man, a village man, he's brought this knowledge, observational knowledge, not a school knowledge. And he's just speaking so simply and innocently. And he's saying there are 50 varieties of fire. And in fact, in the Bhagavatam 3rd canto, Kapil Muni, when he's speaking to Mother Devahuti, now Mother Devahuti, she says, I am very ordinary, I do not have intelligence, I am being tormented by the material nature. So please explain to me. And how complexly Kapil Muni explains to Mother Devahuti. And if you read the purports, Prabhupada quotes Jiva Goswami from different sandarbhas and defines varieties of bhakti and defines varieties of elements. There are different kinds of fire. There are different kinds of air. There are different kinds of, earth. There is different kinds of water. Just like there are 3 modes of material nature, and 3 modes of material nature, according to permutation and combination, they create 84 lakh species of life. And also different varieties, such complexities. But that complexity, where does it lead? That complexity leads to understanding that, wow, Krishna is so profound. Krishna is so great. When intellectually we understand Krishna, I remember one time one senior Prabhupada disciple, he came to our temple and he gave a talk and he was quoting Kena Upanishad. So it took long time to understand. What did he say? He says, in the Kena Upanishad he was quoting, it says that one who thinks he knows not. And one who knows, he knows that he does not know anything. I said, what is this? He's confusing us. How can somebody say that I don't know anything? And how is it possible that those who know, he says, I don't know anything? Because actually when we know about Krishna, Krishna's, the influence over this world or the spiritual world or everything, as we try to know, we understand, my God, Krishna is so expansive. Therefore, Prabhupada explains, our process is not about knowing Krishna. Our process is loving Krishna. In loving Krishna, knowing is involved. Otherwise, we try to know Krishna. Yeah, we can try to know intellectually. Like this canto is there, third canto is there, Upanishads are there. Abstractly explained. What does it make? If we are really humble, then the Upanishad tell us, however much you try to know Krishna, it is limitless. You cannot know him. And not knowing Krishna itself is knowing Krishna. Why? Because then you realize you are very insignificant. Only by his grace you can know Krishna. And even those who love Krishna, Kaviraj Goswami explains in Chaitanya Charitamrita. When you start loving Krishna, you realize. And I remember one devotee was getting married. And they were talking, his wife was not coming from a devotee community, pious. So he said, I go to temple. She said, I also go to temple. I am also devotee. Then eventually when she started coming to Krishna consciousness, she realized, I am so far away from being devotee. When we start practicing Krishna consciousness, then we realize being a devotee is not an ordinary thing. Calling oneself a devotee is a very kind of an immature statement. As we go further into Krishna consciousness, we realize how far we are from actually becoming a devotee. Therefore, Kaviraj Goswami explains, when you come closer to Krishna, you realize, my God, Krishna's love is so much for me, and I'm not able to reciprocate. So therefore, again one becomes humble. So even when we come closer to Krishna, we are humble. When we try to understand Krishna's material nature, we understand that, we have to be humble. So material nature or spiritual nature, devotional service or material nature, a material nature, beats us and makes us humble by forcefully. And spiritual nature very lovingly makes us humble. But humility is not about, it's not an ornament. It's no other choice. No? It's no other choice. Why? Because material world, we are so much obsessed with our opinion. But what is the value of our opinion? Once we are out of this world, nobody cares for our existence, that we existed in this world. No? Nobody cares. Therefore, Prabhupada explains, we are non-entities. Not from the technical point of view, from the vastness point of view. We are non-entities. Therefore, Krishna, he is speaking, Shukadeva Goswami speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, the complex Srishti Leela and also sweet Vrindavan Leela, or then Dwarka Leela also, which Parikshit Maharaj is completely absorbed. He got to observe and he got to absorb also, because we need observational science also, because we have that side also, inquiry, questions, we raise questions. And we also have the side of being absorbed in Krishna. Sometimes people say, how can God perform this pastime? These are all mythological. Lifting Govardhan hill, bird speaking, and then animals speaking to Krishna, the monkeys talking to Krishna. This is all bogus, because it is not logical. So I was sharing yesterday. But the same people, all so-called scientific mind, they go and watch Rajnikant's movie. They go watch somebody else's movie. And what is it? It is all about somebody who is not able to control his stomach problem, but is performing all exercises, all kind of stunts which are physically impossible. And even the scientists, even the philosophers, even the engineers, even the doctor go, pay their own money and cry also. There they don't raise question, then how is it possible? If they raise that question, then they can't enjoy the movie. Absorption should not be analyzed. Therefore, Krishna's pastime, when it is the concept of the heart, when we are involving our heart, then you just enjoy. How Krishna lifted Govardhan hill, that was an absorption for the Brajvasis. In fact, they were so absorbed, they thought that in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Prabhupada tells this story, that Shidama, When he saw Krishna lifting the Govardhan hill, he had a simple logic. He said, in wrestling I defeat Krishna. Since I can defeat Krishna, I can lift Govardhan hill also. So he told Krishna, he said, my dear Krishna, he said, if you're tired, give me the hill, I will lift. And if you don't have doubt, if you have a doubt in my ability, at least change your hand so that we can massage your hand. So whether taking that hill in their own hands or asking Krishna to move Govardhan hill from one hand to another hand was all they wanted to serve Krishna. When a devotee is in Vrindavan, they doubt Krishna's or they belittle Krishna's ability. It is not because they want to belittle Krishna's ability. They want to belittle Krishna's ability so that they can serve Krishna. Yashoda Mai, when she saw the entire universe in his mouth, it was so profound, basically. But that disturbed her service. Therefore, again, Krishna made her see natural, simple mouth so that she can again take care of Krishna. So, devotee of Krishna falls into Yoga Maya, or we can call ignorance in one sense, but that ignorance leads to greater service. A materialistic, when he falls into ignorance, doubt, he goes away from Krishna. So, therefore, we see here, Parikshit Maharaj is listening to this profound concept. I remember one time we were traveling, in our bus party. It's very thrilling also when we travel all over India distributing books. We get to meet varieties of people. So one time we stayed in Dharmashala. We reached very late in one place in Maharashtra. It was a temple. And we said, oh no, can we stay here? They allowed us to stay. And then in the morning we got and we went to the temple to see, to chant our rounds. So when we saw, there was kind of a statue. I don't say deity, it was a statue. And it was a statue, there was blue lotus feet, four-handed form with Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. But when he came to the face, it was some Maharaj. It was not Krishna, it was not Vishnu. It was the face of some bearded sadhu. Must have done some meditation, and Prabhupada explains that sometimes people start thinking that they themselves are God. So therefore meditation, unless we have the clear understanding that we are actually the spirit soul servant of Krishna, you may have the experience of God. You may see Paramatma feature. But if you confuse yourself that Paramatma feature is me only, what a dangerous thing. Better don't see Krishna. Have a clear understanding that actually we are servants of Krishna. And Prabhupada explains, when Kardam Muni saw, he was a yogi. But when he saw Krishna, there were tears in his eyes, as Paramatma he saw. And then from there he became a devotee of Krishna. Because the understanding was there. The four Kumaras, same thing also. So in this way we see that whether it is creation, whether it is Krishna's power or Krishna's sweetness, both are so beautiful. I remember another time I was in one place and one devotee said, Prabhuji, there is a temple here. You want to hear the interesting part of this temple? He said, this temple has a Jagannath deity. Now Jagannath deity is only possible in ISKCON temples or if you are in Odisha. No, otherwise in south you don't find Jagannath temple. It was a small village in Karnataka. Has nothing to do with Odia people. And there was no ISKCON temple, a small village. And he said, you come there is a deity of Lord Jagannath, very beautiful deity of Jagannath. And some interesting phenomena happens. I said, what is that? He said, no, you have to come there to see. So he took me there. And when we went there, the pujaris, very simple, they offered bhoga to the Lord in a clay pot, sweet rice, the dry sweet rice. They cook in the milk and they offered it to the Lord in a clay pot. And after the bhoga was done, the arati was done, and the pujari was taking out the clay pot. Now this clay pot was very interesting. He goes around Lord Jagannath and he offered it, Jai Jagannath. And he's not, he's not trying to kind of excite people. He's very peacefully, every day is worshipping. If you see pujaris who are worshipping for so many years, they are slow, peaceful. So he came and then he kept in front of the Lord. I saw with my own eyes. And what happened? The pot, the clay pot opened into 4 parts. I said, hey, what is this? That's what the devotee had taken me there. And I came closer to the altar. He took a next pot. Now clay pot, if you the nature of the clay pot, if it's a dry clay pot, you cannot cut into 4 exact parts. It is not possible. If you drop it, it breaks into many parts. You try to cut it, it breaks into many parts. Now exactly into 4 parts it would open, not break. I saw 1 pot, I saw 2nd pot, I saw 3rd pot. And I asked the pujari, what is this? This happens every day in our temple. It's happening last hundreds of years. So it's kind of mystical, but he said, hota rehta, it's happening like that. And then suddenly one old man came there, Marwadi. He said, kahan se ho? Where you have come from? And he said, I have come from Bombay. He looked at me, you have come so far to see this one, wasting your time. In the temple, in Bombay also there is such a temple. In one village. He said, there also it happens. For this pujari family, some other, this happens. And nobody knows how it happens. So there are many such things in this world, mystical things. But if somebody becomes so involved in it and stop serving Krishna, going around from one place to another place, trying to see all the mystical things are not there so that we can go and keep looking them. Mystical things are there. But we should not stop our devotional service to Krishna. Just like the way Prabhupada preached Krishna consciousness. If you only talk about it and not serve, ultimately all his experience, what he did is to give us a facility, give us a chance to also to render service to Krishna. Because bhakti of Krishna is not about only talking about bhaktas serving Krishna. That is an inspiration for us so that we can also continue to serve Krishna, because the legacy has to be created. Parikshit Maharaj heard the Bhagavatam. We hear that Parikshit Maharaj heard the Bhagavatam. And how did he hear the Bhagavatam? We hear that. But we also have to hear Bhagavatam. Go through the same procedure as Parikshit Maharaj heard, so that we can get that experience. Therefore, one time one devotee asked Prabhupada, he said, Swamiji, when did you see God first? That is how website starts with many sadhus. That, he performed tapasya in the Himalayas, standing on 1 feet, then he saw the light. And then, therefore now he is the only one who can show you God, or he himself is the God. So they asked this question. I like this story. And Prabhupada said, that doesn't matter when I saw God. Because he said, me seeing God, what difference does it make in your life? I give you the process through which you can also see God. When God becomes available to everybody, then he is valuable. If Krishna is only meant for a few people, if Krishna is the property of only few people, then bhakti becomes extremely rare. Then the living entities are bereft of that bhakti. Therefore, he was trying to say, no, you just take this process of Krishna consciousness, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If you chant Hare Krishna, you take Krishna Prasad, you read Srimad Bhagavatam, then whatever experience somebody else had, you can also have that experience. No. So what is the greatness of a guru? The greatness of guru is that he freely distributes Krishna. Bhaktivedanta Thakur explains that, hey Vaishnava, that I don't have Krishna and you have Krishna. And you are distributing Krishna to everybody. One Prabhupada's God brother said, that nectar is very scarce. Nectar is very, very scarcely available, rarely available. But what Swamiji did, he was glorifying Prabhupada. He said he distributed nectar as if it was water. If nectar has to be, said, oh no, you don't get. Yes, the heavenly nectar The demigods do not give to anybody and everybody. In fact, when the churning of the milk ocean took place, the demigods, Lord Vishnu told them, have a truce with the demons. And they had the truce. And they needed demons to churn. Why? Because to perform any activity, you need Rajogun. Without Rajogun, there is no action. No? And we need Tamogun also. Otherwise, we can't sleep only. Because if there is no Tamogun, there is no Nidra. And without Nidra, we go crazy. Like Prabhupada said, if you don't sleep, you go crazy. If you sleep too much, you become lazy. Crazy and lazy. Sleeping too much is laziness. No sleeping is craziness. Sometimes, when somebody joins in the beginning, Krishna consciousness movement, he wants to be Goswami instantly. Because they come from that culture. I remember one young student, he started coming to our temple. And then he read, the Goswami's literature. And he was very fascinated. Wow, what their life is so good. Taktva Turnam Ashesha Mandalapati Shrenim Sada Tuchavat. They are going every day, different tree, living on a koipin. He felt very good. I don't need to wash my clothes. Better be a Goswami only. And actually, he had to be taken to the hospital. Why? Because he was trying to imitate. Not sleeping. When you don't sleep, and you think that actually I am advancing, that is more craziness. Actually, I have not slept because serving so much, then you realize that I am very tired, I am exhausted, I need sleep. Even during Lord Chaitanya's dance in Rath Yatra parade, he is Lord, but then eventually what happened? He got tired. That's what he is acting. He is acting as if he is also normal. He is performing human lila. And then Nityanand Prabhu arranged all the devotees to go to another place, and Lord Chaitanya's servant Govinda was massaging him. So when we artificially try to do something, then what happens? It is not good. So we see, everything in this world has a proper balance, and that's what Parikshit Maharaj is listening from Shukdev Goswami. There is a beautiful pastime of Krishna, but also there is understanding of matter, because matter and spirit, in ultimate sense, they're all integrated as Krishna's energy. Therefore, a devotee of Krishna can see Krishna in matter and can see Krishna in spirit also. And therefore, Krishna is accessible to everybody. The divinity of Krishna is everywhere available. So therefore, becoming devotee, Prabhupada explains another very encouraging purport in the 7th canto. He says, to be demonic and to be animalistic, it's very hard work. No? Very hard. You have to work very hard. You make money and spend money. But to be a devotee, he said, very simple. Chant Hare Krishna. Very easy. And even a living entity forgets in that same 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, another very encouraging purport. When Hiranyakashipu performed all that sinful activity, when Lord Nrsimha came in front of him, what happened to Hiranyakashipu? He said, what kind of animal is this? He is seeing Lord Nrsimha, and who is he? He is from the spiritual world only. And he is saying, who is this animal? And then eventually was killed by Lord Nrsimha. Lord Nrsimha placed him on his lap and he killed him. And then Lord Nrsimha went and sat on the throne of Hiranyakashipu. And Prabhupada quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He says that Hiranyakashipu forgot that Vishnu is his master. But Vishnu did not forget that Hiranyakashipu was his servant. So therefore, just to give some credit to his hard work of creating such a huge palace and asan, Lord Nrsimha went and sat on the throne and gave him the Agyata Sukriti in one sense. Gave him the credit of devotional service. Another time, another devotee said, Lord Nityananda's appearance day. What does that indicate? That gives you a understanding that no excuse for not performing devotional service. Because it's very magnanimous. So just imagine Krishna consciousness is so simple. Another point, very profound statement. Prabhupada said, and I was hearing from one devotee, he said, because Krishna consciousness is so simple, you may miss it. Very good. This is so simple and so easy, you may take it very lightly. You may miss it. It is so simple. No big deal in one sense. Because it is no big deal, Therefore, I'll do some other day. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur tells that story of a sweeper who would sweep close to Jagannath temple. Right. And then, every day would sweep and people would ask, "Are you are so fortunate, you are staying close to Lord Jagannath temple. We have come from such a far distant. Darshan is open?" "Yeah, darshan is open." "You have taken?" "I stay here only. Tomorrow I'll take." Like that, he never took darshan of Lord Jagannath. So Saraswati Thakur says, those who stay very close to the train station, they are the one who always miss the train. Because they're not prepared. "Oh, it's so close by, anyway I can go and catch the train." But those who stay far away, they start preparing. "Arey, the traffic will be jam, and I need to go 1 hour advance." Why? Because they're far away. And that is what the Indians' problem is. They stay so close, but they have to come to Australia to become devotees. Some devotees, those who have become devotees, must have been from Mathura, close to Jagannath Puri also, close to Bengal also. Can you imagine traveling such a far distance and then bumping into Hare Krishna devotees in Australia and then becoming a devotee? So that shows again Krishna consciousness. Even if you try to escape from Krishna, like somebody in America, they asked Prabhupada, one Indian only, "Swamiji, what are you doing here?" He said, "What are you doing here?" He was then also Indian, and he said, "Higher prospects." He said, "Me too." You have come here for a higher prospect, I also come for the same thing. But your higher prospect is of a different nature. My higher prospect is of a different nature, to catch you, to give you Krishna. Because Krishna belongs to you, he is very close to you. You accept Krishna. Therefore, whether it is Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, all this holy scripture, they make us understand Krishna is far away from us. From one perspective. What is that perspective? Is far away from us because we are so fallen. But from the reality perspective, because we develop that consciousness, Krishna is very close. A devotee can give Krishna. He can give Krishna very easily. As if Krishna is like Mahaprasad. And Krishna is Mahaprasad. He gives, take Krishna, take Krishna, take Krishna, through his holy name. And therefore, anyone who takes to Krishna consciousness, whether in the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of his life, Rupa Goswami talks in that Padyavali prayer about different personalities having different weaknesses. Ugrasen Maharaj, what was his strength? His Paurusham kim Ugrasenasya. He said he had no Paurusha. Gajendra, what intelligent Gajendra had. Gajendra himself says, he said, "I've got a big body, I'm an elephant." That shows it's a mass of ignorance. Gajendra says that. And in fact, Prahlad Maharaj, when he started offering his prayer, what was he getting encouragement from? He took encouragement from, Gajendra only. That if this Gajendra was able to offer prayers, if these demigods are not able to please you, what is my qualification, Lord, to please you? But I have confidence, I can offer some prayers because Gajendra had offered these prayers. So in this way, every devotee we see in the Bhagavatam, that they are limitlessly powerful in regards to physical power. Arjuna, Bhima, Parikshit Maharaj, Chitraketu Maharaj. But at the same time, they are extremely acting helpless. Extremely acting helpless. So there is a combination of unlimited endeavor in doing what they are supposed to do, but limitless helplessness within their consciousness. This combination is what gives rise to Bhakti Yoga. Another very senior devotee was saying that, you see, Bhakti Yoga, why it is called as yoga? Yoga because there is an efforts from the side of the bhakta. If it is only mercy and no endeavor, then the living entity takes it for granted. And only endeavor, no mercy, there is no chance only. There has to be a combination of two. Therefore it is called as Bhakti Yoga. There should be efforts from the living entity. And however much efforts he does, at the end of the day, he waits for the mercy of the Lord. It's a causeless mercy only, but still he has to work hard. Sadhana bhakti means working hard, knowing very well that my sadhana will not give me anything. Can you imagine? But still you have to do sadhana. Because if you don't do sadhana, like one time another devotee, he was reading Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and he raised this question, Prabhupada, if bhakti is so simple in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we read that somebody circumambulated accidentally, walked behind Lord Jagannath while he was walking for his office. And then he got the credit of following the Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra, and then he is liberated. Or you walk around the temple, one time, one pradakshina, then you are liberated. Padma Purana has got so many stories. So he said, what is the point in chanting 16 rounds then? If it is so easy, why should I do it? He said, that is material calculation. If Krishna can give you so much with so little, if you are a real greedy devotee, then what you should do? You should do more. As simple as that. If Krishna can give you so much with so less, if you want to experience what bhakti is, then you should also do. Therefore, Bali Maharaj, we read in the Bhagavatam, when Lord Narsimhadev gave benediction to Prahlad, he said, Prahlad, not only you, 21 generation will be delivered. And you see Bali Maharaj's story, Bali Maharaj also went through what Prahlad went through, in one sense. Lord Vamandev put through rigorous test to Bali Maharaj. Why? Because Bali Maharaj could have said, hey, come on, you promised 21 generation. Why are you putting me through all this? It is like someone, they have these pills. Astronauts, when they are in the space, you can't carry 15 day ka prasad leke jao. Take 15 days prasad, 21 days prasad. They take these pills. And what happens when you eat those pills, you don't feel hungry. So mukti is like eating that pill. You don't have personal experience. Bhakti is like going through that personal experience. If you want to actually experience the nourishment, you go through the whole process of plucking the vegetables, cleaning it, cooking it, offering it, then enjoying it. Without going it through, you only experience pet bhar gaya, my stomach is full. Bali Maharaj did not want that kind of. He was qualified based on Prahlad Maharaj's grace. But he also wanted to go through the same experience what Prahlad went through in regards to surrendering to Krishna. So therefore, even the Lord Narsimhadev said to Prahlad, 21 generation, but Prahlad's grandson, Bali Maharaj, also went through. Same thing with Parikshit Maharaj also. He could have told Krishna, why all this trouble? Why should I go through all this trouble since my grandparents were such a devotees of yourself? I don't need to do anything. I just need to receive. But Parikshit Maharaj, while giving all the credit to his grandparents, all the time he gives credits to Pandavas only. Only because of them you have come to my place. Hey Shukadeva Goswami. Only because of my grandparents, all the sages have come here. But Parikshit was equally as good as the Pandavas in regards to his own personal devotional service to Krishna. So therefore bhakti is a combination of efforts and the endeavor. So Parikshit Maharaj is doing that endeavor. Intellectually is trying to understand. Emotionally is trying to develop relationship. Sensually his entire life was engagement in Krishna's service. Therefore Prabhupada explains in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, bhakti means an active engagement with mind, words and body. When we engage ourselves with our words, minds and body, when we offer that to Krishna through the medium of the spiritual master who represents Krishna's internal energy, Daivim Prakriti Mashrita. Daivim Prakriti means that spiritual master. Then our senses, then our intelligence, then our mind, because of the grace of Guru, that becomes spiritualized. Otherwise, our tongue, our beads, our mind, how is that spiritual? That is not spiritual. Daivi Prakriti Mashrita. When we take shelter of Daivi Prakriti, which is represented by Guru, then the entire matter is recharged. And that is what Srimad Bhagavatam speaks in the entire 12th canto to Parikshit Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments?
Thank you very much for a lovely Bhaktivedanta class, Prabhu. Haven't had such a nice Bhaktivedanta class for a long time.
Prabhu, you made this statement that as one gets closer to Krishna, one witnesses Krishna's love more and more and feels that he is not being able to reciprocate. And there is also the statement that which we hear is that when we perform some devotional service, Krishna feels indebted and he wants to reciprocate. And then often we have the situations where in devotee communities we say, oh yeah, because you did that service, so now Krishna is reciprocating with you. So how do you understand the two? Because Krishna is already giving so much, and then how does it feel indebted if it is just little bit?
Yeah, therefore see, you have to understand Krishna's heart also. Krishna is also a person. As a living entity feels that I don't love Krishna, and Krishna feels he is loving me so much. No, that is his nature. Like in again Prabhupada writes in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, when Draupadi called out for Krishna. What was Krishna's mood? Krishna's mood is, okay, I'm going there, I'm going to protect her. He is not like that. He is a very, profound personality. He says, Prabhupada writes, when Draupadi was calling Krishna's name, once he was feeling she was putting him in eternal obligation. So Lord also has his personality. When a devotee renders service, as devotee feels that, I don't have love for Krishna, and Krishna is feeling, they are loving me so much. Therefore, when a living entity goes back to the spiritual world, Sanatana Goswami explains in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, what does the Lord do? When the living entity actually goes back to the spiritual world, he doesn't say, wow, now you have come, rascal, after a long time you are away from me. He doesn't say like that. He doesn't say, you learned your lesson. Rather, Krishna, when he embraces the coward boy, he faints. And then some other coward men, they sprinkle water on Krishna, and that newly arrived a devotee in the spiritual world, both rise. And what does Krishna say? He said, my dear devotee, you went through so much in the material world for my sake. You were ridiculed, you were troubled, but you did not give up my devotional service. So I am grateful to you. Therefore, Ramayana explains, one of the quality of the Lord is always being grateful to his devotee. Gratitude for living entity is culture. It's an etiquette. Gratitude for the Lord is an ornament. Because he doesn't need to be grateful to us. Because he doesn't need anything from us. But his heart is so big. He feels grateful. Therefore, Rukmini, Prabhupada writes in Krishna book, when this Brahmana brought the message that Krishna is coming to take you, what did Rukmini do? She is goddess of fortune. She owns everything. But at that point of time, she had nothing to offer. She folded her hands. He said, thank you very much. And Prabhupada writes, offering obeisances like that means I am eternally grateful. I am eternally indebted. Can you imagine goddess of fortune telling a poor Brahmana, I am eternally indebted to you. So that is the nature of, Krishna. Like one South Indian Vaishnava poet talks about Sudama and Krishna's story. Very beautiful. When Sudama came to Dwarka, and Krishna saw Sudama, very poor. And Krishna's palace was made in such a way, people's homes are made in such a way that you have no access to go in. Right? It's like a fort. Nobody can go. But it is said that Krishna's palace was made in such a way that anyone who come from outside, from a distant place also, Krishna could come to know some stranger is coming. So the Lord was eager to know who is coming. So he would have access to, the palace was built like that. So when he came, when he saw Sudama coming, the gatekeeper stopped him, but Krishna came out to receive. And he brought him. And he washed his feet. And then he gave him nice clothes, his own pitambari. Now his own clothes he gave, because he's my friend, so he needs to be having the same wealth as I have. And then Sudama stayed for a few days. Then Krishna's, you didn't bring anything for me? They discussed about their school, fun time, naughty times. No? Then eventually he said, what, you didn't bring anything? He said, no, nothing. Sudama was thinking, how can I offer this to Krishna when he's feeding me 56 items? No? Then how can I give this? And that chipped rice also, the Acharyas explain, his wife did not collect from one house. It was varieties of chipped rice. You cannot cook nice pulav rice with varieties of rice. It has to be one quality of rice. So it was not, tasteful also. So she had collected. He was thinking, how can I give? Which is also then below his waist also. He was very shy. And Krishna reminded him. In fact, he spoke the verse of Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. The very verse is there in the Bhagavatam also. He said, I eat, given by my devotees, and he snatched it. And he ate, then he gave all the wealth to Sudama. Right. And then when Sudama was going back, what did Krishna do? He took away his clothes, his pitambari, gave back him his old clothes. And he sent him without anything. Now what if there is somebody else other than Sudama who has got agenda, goes to his friend, they talk to each other, and the friend gives him nice set up clothes as long as he stays. And when he is going, he takes away and he gives him old clothes. What would be one's consciousness? What kind of rascal is this? I came to ask something and did not give me anything. Mission failed. No? But when Sudama was walking out, what was he thinking? Mahaprabhu quoted this, that leper Vasudev quoted this verse. He said, Kwa papi daridran, Kwa Sri Krishna Sri Niketan. He said, who am I? I am the most fallen Brahma Bandhu, not even a Brahmana. I am a most fallen, Brahmana. And who is Krishna? He is the husband of goddess of fortune. And what did he do? He embraced me. He kept on remembering that. He was not thinking, what will I tell my wife? He did not give me anything. What kind of friend? I couldn't ask him only. He should have understood what I need. Sometimes we come and ask to Krishna. I'm not going to ask anything from him, but better you know what I want. So he was not at all in that mood. He was walking, and what was he thinking? He said, Krishna is so kind. He didn't even think why he took away my clothes. He didn't raise that question. What is this strange behavior? But why did Krishna take away his clothes? This poet says Krishna took away his clothes because Sudama is a poor Brahman. He'll be walking through the forest path and some dacoits might kill him. That is one. It's a material, management. On the other hand, he said, my friend is a Brahmana. I need to worship those clothes. Mahaprasad I need. Therefore, Krishna took it away. So that is Krishna's consciousness. And this is devotee's consciousness. So therefore, Krishna consciousness is not only about remembering Krishna. Krishna consciousness means to understand what is the consciousness of Krishna. When we understand the consciousness of Krishna, as Mahaprabhu, Kaviraj Goswami explains, if you really want to be wonderstruck, you really have intelligence, then what do? Try to study the mercy of Lord. And when you study the mercy of the Lord, you'll simply be wonderstruck. So therefore, here we see, from Krishna's perspective, it's very clear that whatever little service we render, he is grateful. And whatever devotee renders service, he always feels, I'm not doing anything. I think that's what Devamrita Swami says. A devotee is always dissatisfied. He is never satisfied. If you are satisfied, there is a problem. I've done enough devotional service. That is the problem. You should always remain dissatisfied. Oh, I have not done. So that there is a desire to do more and more devotional service. Again, it is not an artificial thing. It's a natural devotee service like that. Therefore, Krishna's gratitude and devotee's grateful heart, they are very, very beautiful, interconnected. Therefore, Lord Krishna told the gopis were asking, hey, what is this? We came here. And that also is there. That mood is also there. Somebody has great love. They can raise this question to Krishna. I said, we came giving up everything and you just disappeared. What kind of lover is this? Are you Gurudrohi? Are you Akritagya? Are you indifferent? Udasin? What is this? Why you did like this? The gopis, out of love, they asked this question to Krishna. And what did Krishna say? He said, my dear gopis, he said, I wanted to glorify your love. Just to experience your love, I disappeared. He was not testing. I wanted to glorify. I wanted to see your love, the extent of your love. So therefore, my dear gopis, I have nothing to offer to you. He said, I can't reciprocate. Therefore, even if I have the life of Lord Brahma, he said, even if I try with the life of Lord Brahma, I cannot repay. Therefore, be satisfied with your own love for me, because I cannot reciprocate. That is how Krishna thinks. So therefore, it is said, Krishna is the supreme independent Lord from a technical reality, from devotional reality. he is also as dependent as his devotees towards, his devotee. As much as a devotee is depending on Krishna, Krishna is also depending on his devotee. So there is a complete circle. Otherwise, all people are going to God. I don't go to anybody. I am so great. Then there is a problem with that God. No, our Bhagavatam God is, as much as a devotee is desperate to go to God, a God is also desperate to go to a devotee. And is a complete. Yes.
In the beginning, thank you so much for the answer. In the beginning of the class, you were mentioning about that for people who have complex mind but they are not profound, it leads to more confusion. We see in Kali Yuga, most of our minds are quite complex because of the influence of the age, the modern technology, gadgets and all that. So how do we increase our simplicity as well as the profoundness so that we can understand Krishna consciousness better?
Yeah, that is the problem with the modern education. It makes us stupid, but makes us feel that we are very profound. Like that engineer said. We were thinking, this person is uneducated, what does he know? Like I was sharing this story with children. Like, we met one old man, a farmer, but he wants to give this knowledge. He was speaking about this weather forecast center in India. The weather forecast center was in Simla originally, in the hill station. Now it is in Pune. So he was giving a true story which is actually recorded. And one devotee is working in that department. He said, actually if you go, you will find in their archives how it came there. Of course they don't tell about it. So this man was telling to our school children. He said one time when the British officer, the in charge, he wanted to arrange a party in an open place. And he asked the forecast department. They said, sir, everything is clear. In the weather forecast says there is no rains, nothing. So then he said, okay, arrange the party. And he was taking a stroll and he saw a shepherd coming back from his pasturing ground. And this officer knew little Hindi. He asked him, say, what happened? Why you are coming so early? Lazy. He said, no lazy. He said, it's going to rain heavily. So now the forecast department says the rain is not going to come, and this shepherd, he is saying that rains are going to come. He said, how do you know? He said, my goats are telling me. And that made him more kind of, he said, come on. He said, when we have all these machines and they are saying, I need this man. He said, this is India. They talk to goats, they talk to chickens, and they talk to cows. And then he said, how do you know? How do they talk to you? He said, no, he said, this is simple. He did not make big issue out of it. He said, simple, when we observe them, they change the way they behave when the rains are supposed to come. And we watch it. So I know it's going to rain. It's not that the goats were talking to him. They knew the art of proper communication. So when the officer was intrigued, he came back to them. He said, look, this shepherd is saying that it's going to rain. And you guys are saying it's not going to rain. He said, sir, you are questioning our education. No, it's not going to rain. And when the party was about to start, there was a downpour. So he told them, pack your bags and get out of this place. So therefore, if we see, unfortunately, in the age of Kali, that ignorance is given so much of pride. We are made to feel, we have something great. Therefore, Prabhupada called, it may sound very strong, very harsh. When I read first time, calling educational center a slaughterhouse, hey, why is he saying like that? So harsh, so strong. But when we actually get into education system, study very clearly, then we realize, they're creating a complex, disturbed mind, not a complex intellectual mind which can analyze. So therefore, when we come to Krishna consciousness, under the guidance of devotees, slowly, it has the power. Again, there is a facility, there is a scope, the mind starts getting clean, the intelligence becomes clean, so that actually then we can start ascertaining, apply right kind of question. Like in India, it's a fashion for young people to raise this question, I don't believe in God. To say like that, I don't believe in God, it's a fashion. And if you tell them, can you tell why you don't believe? No, I don't believe. I said, you are ignorant. Because there is no logic only. At least be logical. You talk why you don't believe in God. Because that has become a fashion now. Believing God means you are primitive. Old fashioned. I need to be a follower of my grandfather for believing in God. But if I don't believe in God, that means I am very advanced. So this kind of strange understandings are there. So when we actually come to the process of Krishna consciousness, slowly reading Bhagavad Gita, and again, I think Vidur says this to Dhritarashtra, or Bhishma Dev tells it to Yudhishthir. I exactly don't. And he says that how does one become mature? How does one become free from the material complexity? He says first is by Guru's grace. Guru gives us that grace. And then you start studying the scripture. And third, by the kindness, mercy of God. And fourth is by the time factor. The time factor is also an important element. As we grow, as our senses become weak, become old, then we start realizing, like Bhaktivedanta Thakur explains, that I carried this load of textbooks, running from place to place, thinking that I was very educated. Vidyara vilase katainu kala, in that song he says. But as I realize now, in my old age, that all this thing is not coming to me. So when that sobriety comes, then that profundity does come to us. So therefore one has to wait also. Even though Guru's grace is there, but immediately, instantly again, it has to happen instantly. Nothing happens instantly. It has to happen according to Krishna's time. And Krishna's time means we have to go through all the process also. Do our sadhana, receive the grace, pray to Krishna, and wait till the time is ripe for us to become mature. Last question.
You mentioned that in Yashoda, Mother Yashoda last time, when she saw the universe, she was covered, then Lord Krishna reversed it and made her to see the normal, because she was covered by the Yogamaya. So he also mentioned that Yogamaya means the ignorance. Now, how do we understand that if it is Mahamaya means is giving us forgetfulness of the law, Yogamaya is forgetful, the godhood of the body. So do we understand the ignorance, or can you explain why it has ignorance?
No, now there is no synonymous English word. To forget Krishna as Lord, if you know Krishna is God, is God only, so it doesn't matter whether it is universe or mud. If you become such a jnani, then you don't serve. But when you have that devotional quality, when Yashoda saw Krishna and saw the universe, she was so bewildered. My God, he's God. What is he? Who is he? So that was creating a distance between her and Krishna in regards to serving. So what Krishna did again, removed that, covered her with Yogamaya. And covering of yoga means what? The covering that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. It is not covered. It is that understanding is there, but they transcend that understanding. The Brajbasis had the understanding Krishna is God, but their love was much greater than the knowledge. So knowledge became subsided and the love increased. And because of that ignorance, if you call it as an ignorance, gave rise to service to Krishna. Like somebody was asking this question, if God knows everything what we are going to do in the past, present, we know He knows everything, past, present and future. It's already preordained, predestined, whether we will become devotees or not. So how can He be compassionate? He can only be compassionate to those people who will take to compassion. Those who don't take to compassion, You know how people ask different kinds of questions. If he already knows that you are not going to take to Krishna consciousness, then what is the point? And how will you be compassionate when you already know? You know, if you just imagine if you get to know everybody, this devotee is going to take 10 lifetimes. So you don't preach to him only. You know, if you know, this devotee will become devotee in 3 months, then you'll start preaching. If you already have the knowledge, then you become very discreet in preaching, right? So God knows everything. So why does he take incarnation when he knows everything? Who is becoming devotee? What is the point in taking incarnation? So he's asking this question. I said, wow, that is called as complex Kali Yuga mind. So I was telling him, look, very simple. When Krishna came to Hastinapur as a peacemaker, and Vidur told Krishna, I said, no point in going to speak to Duryodhana, because Duryodhana will not listen to you. And he listed all the disqualification of Duryodhana. He said, he's not going to listen, he will only insult you. He said, my lord, please don't go, I am afraid that they will try to do something to you. And if you read that, so beautiful, Krishna said, no, I need to go. He said, it's my duty to try. Now Krishna is speaking Nishkam Karma Yoga. It's my duty to try. And if you understand, here Krishna's compassion is so great, he covers his knowledge. So God's compassion, like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, God's Kripa Shakti is much superior to his Kriya and Gyan Shakti. So he covers his Gyan. Only because he covers his Gyan with compassion, therefore he also tries to every living entity. Wow, this person also, that person also. Therefore Mahaprabhu runs around everywhere, trying to save every living entity. Otherwise if that aspect is not there, Jnana is there all the time, can you imagine how difficult it is to become a devotee? And if we knew, I'm going to take 10 lifetime to become a devotee, why would I practice Krishna consciousness? But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur again explains, he says, even if I come to know that it will take 1 million lifetime to become a devotee, but still I will keep trying. He said, that is devotee. So because we are not such a devotee, better we should not know when we will become a devotee. So that we can try, keep trying. Chant Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaur Premanande.